Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review and reaction to the Blacklist, Season 10, Episode 12, Dr. Michael Abani. Wow, what an informative episode for Raymond Reddington and his few. Oh, sorry, no, I was wrong. I was thinking that was like, I don't know, an episode of the Blacklist we actually haven't seen in a few weeks.
Yeah, listen, we're not trying to come on here and be like, wah, 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 every
Yeah.
week of what is going on with the blacklist. But there's one sort of clear issue that is going on, at least for me. You guys let me know in the comments if this is the same for you, but it's just, where is this Reddington story going? Like, it's always really nice and sweet and cute to see him making cooking videos with Agnes and eating ice cream with Agnes and, all these types of fun little things. Here's a brochure from, this museum. And it's just like, yeah, they're very cute, sweet moments, but what is going on with him? I can't end up like, is this how the whole show's gonna end? We're just gonna be watching him making cooking videos and eating ice cream? Like, something is just off, and it's been going on for too many episodes now. Like, I know they're probably building to something a bit bigger with what's going on in his inside reflection, but like, come on.
It's a bizarre episode because it's like I do actually appreciate getting all the Dembe backstory. Like I think
Yeah,
there's
I
been
did too.
there's been questions about a lot of this for a really long time, and I'm glad we had it, and I'm glad we had at least a couple of Reddington and Dembe moments throughout all this. I wish that they came within like the framework of something that was a little bit more larger and obvious. Like I do think we probably have, I don't necessarily think our big bad for the rest of the season, but maybe our big bad for a few weeks, but it doesn't really take away the question as to like what Reddington's in game here is.
Yeah, I mean, even in this episode, the task force is like, we don't have any cases anymore. Reddington's not giving up any cases anymore. What do we do? I'm just like, yeah, what do you do? Like, what is going on? Reddington's not giving you cases. Reddington's not part of anything anymore. Like, you guys still have so many episodes left to go.
Well, we know what you guys should do, and that is check out our Patreon. We started this recently. We have a couple of exclusive Blacklist videos over there. You can check out the link to that in the description. And we have a brand new Blacklist discussion as well. Could Megan Boone be back as Liz for the series finale? We have compiled a little bit of evidence. We have
Mhm.
some suggestions that this could be happening, and we're going to talk all about that over in the Patreon video. Thank you guys so much who have supported us already, or those who are supporting us now.
Yes, we really appreciate it. It helps us here with the channel to continue to upgrade our studio so that we can continue to bring, great videos to you guys. It helps keep our lights on. We
Yeah.
really appreciate the support. And this video over on our Patreon is going to be a really fun one. I mean, yeah, like Matt said, we found some evidence that is possible that she's going to be coming back, and it's on our Patreon.
All right. So I'll just start with the Congressman Hudson as like the new big bad. Like, if this dude is like number 2 on the blacklist at the end of this season, I'm gonna lose my freaking mind. Like, I'm gonna be so upset, annoyed. Reddington has taken on the president of the United States with that Robert Diaz, Anna McMahon stuff from seasons ago. I am supposed to believe that this guy is like more threatening than that just because he's like driven. Like, if you're a politician, shouldn't you be driven? Isn't that a prerequisite?
Yeah, I mean, if he's number 2, this is gonna be a very different video at that time. I
Yeah.
mean, we've both said before here at the channel that we don't want to see whoever is number 2 be someone who's just like introduced in the last reel of the film kind of thing, where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you had no way to kind of know that that was going on. I mean, again, with our Patreon, we have a deeper discussion going on over there right now with another video that is all about who we think number 2 is
Yeah.
and why. But if this is the direction that they end up going in, which I'll say right now, I do not think this is where they are going. I do not think the show is going to be like, here's random congressman. He's now number 2. I just don't think that that's where it's going. I trust them. I know that I started the video being like, wah, 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 but
Yeah.
like, I trust them. They're not going to do that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I do think it makes a certain element of sense where they have done this task force, Reddington, the post office, Wu Jing, all this stuff. Like, there's a pretty elaborate cover up at the center of everything at this point. I don't think it's unrealistic that someone in government is not just gonna like sit on their hands and it's gonna like dig through all this and be like, what have I found? And then see this as like a way to jump forward in their career. I think that part of this, it makes a good bit of sense, but as a TV show that is in the second half of its final season at this point, it's just like, you really got to make this compelling and interesting. I do not want to see Cooper at like some congressional hearing for like 3 weeks in a row having to defend himself.
Yeah, I think the kind of issue that the show has run into with this is just that Reddington did what he did. He wiped himself from the database. He killed Wu Jing in the post office. A bunch of people know where the post office is now, and nobody's really talking about that, which is also kind of weird.
Yeah.
Cooper hasn't really said anything to anyone. Like, he knows that at some point he's probably going to need to say something, but, now Panabaker knows about it. She's not saying anything. So it's kind of like, this never happened. And it's such a big deal that it did happen, that, Reddington has wiped himself from the whole system, and, people been killed in the post office. Like, it's such a big deal for it to just be like, and it never happened, that I'm not too mad that the congressman story is coming in, because somebody does need to bring this to the surface, or it's like, this was all for nothing.
I hope in the next episode we get a scene of Congressman Hudson going to Panabaker and demanding answers, and then she's going to look at him and be like, I'm angrier than a skunk that is firing off at stank. Why are you here? See,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I want to see a Panabaker like Hudson confrontation. If we're going to go in this route, we clearly need more Panabaker. But okay, so let's get back to the Reddington stuff here, because he does feel like he doesn't have much of a direction right now. We can go back into the idea, and like the words life and death are even thrown into this episode, that Reddington knows that he's dying and he's doing sort of a lot of things that people kind of do late in their lives. They prepare for the end. They spend time with people that they really care about. And because Reddington's he doesn't have like that adult sort of friendship or intimate relationship that he seemed to have in the earlier seasons with Dembe, he doesn't really have anyone to talk about it with. It's not like he's gonna go to like Chuck, who has said 5 words the entire show, and be like, let me unload my conscience and everything I'm feeling to you.
No, this is not going to be a Logan Roy Collins situation where he's like, you're my best friend, driver. It's not going to be like that. But no, they are still circling the same theme of, is Reddington going to die at the end of all of this? Or is he still like, has his sickness come back? Has something happened? Because I mean, as he was sort of talking to Agnes about a lot of the stuff where it's like, oh, what happened to your house? Oh, I had these 10 houses. They're all gone now. The last 2, I don't even know what happened to them, where he's kind of like, he's paring down his life of the things that just don't matter, and he's putting in more time with the things that do matter. And they have been setting that up with all the time that he's been spending with Agnes. Okay, is there anybody else that was hoping that when he was like, I have ice cream and movies, that he was going to pull out Pretty in Pink? Like, there was this moment that I was like, oh, please pull that out. Like, it'll be so funny to see him pull out a James Spader movie. On top of it, also having Andrew McCarthy, who's his friend, who's directed a bunch of episodes. Like, I was just like, please. Like, I understand it's not age appropriate, kind of. But I think I was probably about her age when I watched it as well. I mean, come on. Do a little fan service.
What number is Ducky on the Blacklist? I'm just, okay, all right. We could go down that rabbit hole with Spader movies for a while. No, the thing that, okay, I mean, we'll talk probably even more about this in the preview, but I just feel like the big thing that this show is sort of setting up at this point is that if Agnes is the person who Reddington cares about more than anything else, then the way to get Reddington like fully activated at this point is for something to happen to Agnes. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the end of this episode is sort of talked about in the context of Cooper being sort of soft and cuddly, like Reddington is becoming soft and cuddly, which there's one part of me that's like, oh, that's sweet. Look at you guys. But then the other part of me is just like, if Reddington is being really soft and cuddly, is it possible that he's sort of slipping up and he's forgetting this threat or that threat or like this other threat that are still out there? He's like going over to Cooper and Agnes's place all the time. I don't know how discreet he's being with a lot of that. He is leaving himself very vulnerable, and this is a guy who at times can be very secure with things.
Yeah, I mean, he is, but then at the same time, it's kind of like, who's left after him? That's kind of what the problem's been the past couple episodes, where it's just like, there just doesn't feel like there's any pressure or threat on him of anybody else on the blacklist anymore. I mean, even the task force is like, we're not getting cases anymore. Well, maybe Reddington just doesn't care anymore because there isn't anyone else that he sees as a threat. No one's really coming after him anymore. He's tied up so many different things. But I will say that if they are kind of going in this direction where it's like, Reddington's coming to the end of life and he is spending all this time with Agnes, I think it was a really powerful moment where she was talking to Cooper and being like, I know you love him too. I love him, you love him, right? Where Cooper was taking a minute to be like, okay, if I put aside all the stuff that he's done to me,
Yes.
and all the, wiping himself, leaving all these dead bodies in the post
Yeah.
office, he's hanging me out to dry, yeah, I do really love him. And it's sort of, again, in that theme of like, what's important to Red and what's important around Red of people who do love him and do care about him. And that's kind of where we get into the Dembe story too, where it's like, we see this young Dembe.
Yeah.
Whoever this actor is, I haven't seen him before. He's perfect. He's perfect. He has all the sort of like mannerisms and like he was so good. Like he made that story for me, this actor. So there was like some really important moments in this, and one of it being that he's in love with this woman when he's very, very young and he has a choice. Don't lie to the woman that he's with or go and save Reddington. And he decides to save Reddington, and it puts him on this path with Reddington of sort of this spiritual advisor, somebody that he loves as well, because at the end of this episode, we see, the two of them have this conversation where Reddington's like, that if you didn't come that night, it would have been okay for us. And Dembe's answer is, I know. I knew it then. I know it now. I still would have come. That it's his love for Reddington is just so deep that while he has other loves, he's willing to give up the love of his life for Reddington, who is just, he has this beautiful spiritual connection with that. I'm just like, they just need to put these two back together again. Truly, deeply put them back together again.
I just wish they would, because it's just, Hisham and James, they have really good chemistry with
Yes,
each
they
other.
do.
And their story, at this point, we're 10 seasons in, so, you would hope that their story would be well established, but it has been. Like, we understand now, how Dembe came to be with Reddington in the first place, in the sense of duty, in the sense of, Dembe feels like he owes Reddington a lot, but it's not just, he's not just staying with them for so many years because he feels like he owes them. Like, he cares about him. They have these, like, really impactful, wonderful moments, and I know it was hard for Dembe to sort of, look at Isa, this woman who he's come to really care for and love, and have to make this other decision. But I think he sort of looked at the bigger picture and thought, me being here for Reddington, it's a sacrifice on my end, but the amount of good that I think I can do, and it's kind of funny talking about this in the context of a criminal, but it is sort of still the amount of good, the impact I can have with Reddington is so great, and my love for him is so great that I can't move away from it at this point. And I do like just the reminder that even with that decision and how hard things were for Dembe for so long, like he still has been able to have a relationship with his daughter, with
Mhm.
his granddaughter, like we had seen them before this episode. But it just kind of gave us this bigger picture as to the greater Zuma family. And there was a lot of just like joy and peace that came through a lot of that.
Yeah, like I don't think that we are going to see Dembe leave the FBI. I do not think that that's where we're going. However, if this rest of the season is about Reddington making these connections with the people that he loves and the people that love him, we should be then seeing more time with Cooper, who has now been like, you know what? Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
How can you not love him, sort of thing. And we already know how much Dembe loves him. He was willing to give up the love of his life to be there for him because he had such a great love connection with him, and it's been going on for all this time. That if this is what's happening with Reddington, he's coming to the end of life, we need to see more of those personal connections with Dembe. If we don't see him leave the FBI to go work with Reddington, I mean, Reddington's not working right now anyways. So, but there still needs to be more of this.
Yeah, the only way I could see Dembe leaving the FBI at this point is if something happened where he is the only person who could save Reddington. And I think if the chips are down that much and it is a matter of just like straight life or death, not in the way that we're seeing it right now with Reddington, but like one move is different, Reddington dies immediately. Maybe he will jump ship at that point, but
Maybe, I don't know. He's also building such a cute relationship with the wrestler where wrestler's like, last time you left, you didn't tell me where you were. All kinds of bad things happen. I'm calling you every half an hour. If you don't pick up that phone, I'm sending in SWAT. I was like, their relationship has come a long way. I like their romance. It's cute.
Yeah, they're just like emotional bros now. A wrestler needs somebody
They
like
care.
this in his life where he's not just like being grumpy and hating everything. But I enjoy that relationship. I just enjoy the Reddington and Dembe stuff so much. But
Yes.
okay, Task Force. I have a really valuable question to ask you guys 17 minutes into a video I know you are all watching.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys really need to stay together anymore? Like, really, you're having all these conversations about, oh, Reddington's not giving us any more cases. Okay, so Reddington, when he has given you cases, he has made you guys look incredibly stupid.
Yep.
He has put your jobs in like repeated danger. I also don't think that, like, let's say Congressman Hudson somehow manages to shut down the task force. I don't think the FBI is just automatically giving you all pink slips. It's like you still have a job within the
Yeah.
bureau somewhere. You could be transferred somewhere else. Are you guys so either addicted to like the danger of the task force of Reddington, or maybe there is some part of you that likes being owned repeatedly by Reddington? It holds you accountable. I don't know.
Listen, I think that the reason that they're still there is that, for it's kind of 50-50 where Reddington gets his way and people get away, and they, 50% of the time are getting, some big criminals that they're able to put away. The task force has been able to do some work that has really mattered. But now that Reddington's not giving them anybody anymore, the task force doesn't need to exist anymore. It doesn't make any sense. They're just sitting around waiting for Reddington to maybe pop back up again. Like, why aren't they just shutting it down, being like, you know what? Clearly this is done. I know we still have like however many episodes left that we have to get through, and the task force needs to be together for that. But the show needs to show us that they matter and they're not just sitting around pushing papers and drinking coffee waiting for Reddington to maybe show up.
This is sort of like the last thing I'm really thinking about here, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of this in the comments too. If it's like this episode doesn't mean anything, the show has lost its way. We've seen these comments over and over again, and I think from like the show's point of view, it's sort of like you get a giant box of cereal. You'll remember when we were younger, there would be like toys in the bottom of the cereal box, and you would sometimes have to dig to get them. I feel like the Blacklist, the writers and the producers probably feel like, there's a little toy at the bottom of every cereal box. It's just like right now, the toys are just like maybe you're getting a tiny like army man figure or like, you know, a piece of a puzzle that you need some other cereal in order to get. And I think for a lot of people,
I feel like we're not getting any prizes. I think we're just getting 4 cereal boxes in a row that have nothing in them
well, I think it's this,
but clues to, drink your Ovaltine. It's where it kind of feels like we're going.
yeah, I feel like eventually we'll get a big cereal box with like a toy that's got like
Yes.
all these pieces that are kind of connected to the other cereal boxes, and then it'll start to make a little bit of sense. But then we'll all just be like, couldn't you have put the other pieces in one cereal box instead of like 4 or 5 or whatever you're doing?
No, I agree. The show has just I'm not saying that it's bad. It's not. We're
No.
here till the wheels fall off. They are giving us some stuff, but it has slowed down in a way that this show never really has. I mean, yeah, we've had filler episodes here or there, and that's fine, but
Yeah.
the feel of the show has really like slowed down. Like we're getting to the end, but it's slowing down too much. I mean, do you all remember the pilot? Things are exploding. Like it was such a ride, and now it's just, for me, it has slowed down a little bit too much. I love the deeper moments that are happening, but the show still needs to keep up its speed.
Yeah, and we know you guys can do this. We believe in you. Please,
Absolutely.
just I'm gonna hope that you're saving up all the paper clips that a budget that NBC gave you for this final season, and you're able to like link them together and make something cool at the end. But we will of course be here throughout the rest of the season.
Yep.
We have preview coming up,
Yep.
and of course, as we mentioned earlier, our Patreon discussion all about could Megan Boone return? What some of the evidence is that we found out. It's a very fun discussion. We suggest you guys check that out as well. The link is in the description, and we will see you here next time.